My new-to-me 2014 Caprice PPV has a super sketchy vibration in the front end after 160,000 miles. We're going to fix that today on the Burnouts and Rotorblades YouTube channel. Welcome to the Burnouts and Rotorblades YouTube channel. Let's go do something awesome. The telltale signs of worn front control arms is a constant vibration and odd tire wear, which is a common issue on the GM Zeta platform cars. Foot braking while moving from forward to reverse will cause the tire to move pretty significantly in the wheel well, resulting in all kinds of unwanted steering changes and clunks. In my case, this was caused mostly by the front control arm bushing being completely worn out, but the rear wasn't far behind. Here we can see an example of how drastically the front bushing allows the control arm to move. For context, the slot for aligning the front end doesn't even have as much adjustment as the worm control arm bushing has slot. We'll talk about the replacement parts we're going to use later, but for now let's get our boots on and the front end up in the air so we can get these worn out parts pulled off the car. Luckily, I live in Texas where rust isn't a huge issue and things generally come off pretty easily, but a little panther piss still is pretty helpful. If you do use this approach to remove the ball joints, you will destroy the boots, so only use it if they're never going back on. Now we have here the front control arm. This is the one that I was more concerned about because of the video that we took. We do have the ball joint boot is pretty much destroyed, but I mean really that was probably from me spinning it with the impact. The part that's really concerning is this guy here. Like, I should just not be able to move it that much. If we look inside of there, we can see that it is completely separated, and I mean just one finger moving around. It's definitely not good, and that's really why we're seeing all that shifting happen in the front. This is the part number that came off the car, 922-53881, original GM parts, and I went ahead and ordered those from Super Pro. Now if we look at both of these, we can see it's got the same little like angle cut here. This looks to line up exactly. We have a very similar hole size, diameter. Yeah, that looks exactly the same. They have that same little swerve. I mean, these are exactly a replacement for the Caprice PPV. They just weren't listed, which is a little bit of a bummer. I talked to them. They said that on the Super Pro website, they said they didn't have them listed as an interchangeable part because they hadn't test fit them on there. And I'm here to tell you, that's what we're going to do right now. Depending on which illustrated parts breakdown you look at, the lower front control link, yep, that's its actual name, is item number 9 or 7. However, it's not available from any of the Chevrolet or local parts stores I called. Neither was the bushing for it, the front, rear, lower control link, or the sway bar link for that matter. The thing is, I couldn't see any difference between the Caprice PPV parts and the IPBs for the same year Chevrolet SS. In fact, most of the part numbers are even the same if you look deep enough. You can see that these are basically the same kind of ball joint size. The new nut fits on the old threads. So the old Caprice PPV ones and the new ones that are for the Chevy SS for this front are exactly the same. I'm excited that the new suspension parts have gone away from the stock rubber bushings in favor of polyurethane. A common complaint is that the polyurethane bushings make the ride a bit harsher and transfer more road noise, but the ability to control the car and prevent the needless wear of tires has made this an unnoticed and worthy sacrifice. Unfortunately, I did not order the sway bar end links and sway bar bushings, and you may have noticed I should have. There is still some noise in the front end that I have narrowed down to these two items, so the car will get them in the near future. It would have been easy enough to knock them out while I was down there, but maybe you'll learn from my mistake. The install process was very straightforward, and the only consideration is to make sure the suspension is compressed before tightening up the mounting bolts on the polyurethane bushings to prevent damage and squeaks. I was suspicious of the front wheel bearings because of the noise it was making, and it makes sense they would potentially be bad since the alignment was so far off and the front suspension was pretty neglected. Alright, if you listen real close, it gets louder. I'm going to turn slightly to the right. So let's address this while it's already up on jack stands. I think you might be able to hear it. That sounds pretty terrible. Bearing should be smooth, and it's not. So O'Reilly sent over Master Pro part number 513387. All the heights look the same. It looks a little different, but I think we can chalk that up to manufacturer's differences. Let's see if it fits. Way smoother, even with the drag of the brakes. It rolls smoother. Next up is to go spend my child's college savings on a new set of tires before heading over to the alignment shop, and then we can enjoy driving a car that doesn't dart wildly across the lanes of traffic when it hits one of the few places in the San Antonio roads that isn't a pothole. And now, driving down the road, I can take my hands off the wheel, and it actually drives straight. It didn't do that before.